I'm Thomas Shortcroft, the director of photography. This was a prep for a short film, and we were shooting on Super 16mm. You may want to pause this at certain points. There'll be quite a lot of information. I'll put the text of the camera test on the screen as well. This will, and I'll cut into the voiceover and start the actual kind of test now. It's going to be pretty fast, and I'll try and keep up with myself, but I may pause in certain sections, and then we'll see where we get to. So this is the frame leader. Put this obviously at the start of any test or shoot you do to actually tell the editor where you want the actual edges of the frame, but also for the lab to understand where you want the actual edges of your scan as well. So you should be matching up that. And yeah, here we go. So this is the Master Prime, Zeiss Master Prime at T4. Just focusing on the color chart there. And now moving on to a bit more of a mid shot. Our beautiful actor for the day. And just doing a little pose here, it's lovely. Noticing it's fairly sharp. So with Zeiss Master Primes, what you need to do is shoot on preferably either an SR3 or a 416, because you need to be able to push the viewfinder up at a higher angle to actually fit the Master Prime into the actual housing of the camera. The lens itself, for 16mm, this is really sharp. This is as sharp as you're going to get. This is a 2K log scan as well. I've zoomed in with 12%. This is a Ultra Prime on that last one there. And now this is a Distagon. We're just testing out the differences between these three lenses. So this would be like a 16mm Distagon. Or it could be a 35mm Distagon. There's Tom outside. This is a Zeiss Distagon outside, and it's got an ND 1.8 in, and it's T4. Just want to see the flaring, what it was doing contrast ratio wise if we were outside. This film was about shooting foliage, so that's why I put a bit of foliage and branchage in there as well. But personally, I was also interested in what was going to happen with the test of the faces as well. This is 9.5mm Distagon as well, and this is at T4 with the same ND inside. So this 9.5 here, obviously super wide lens. It's really nice contrast, to be fair, especially as such a sunny day. It actually holds the highlights of that van and also the lowlights of the car really, really well, stock wise, but also lens wise as well. And stock wise, this is all 250D, so a fairly good stock for a sunny day. Okay, so 4 35mm cameras, but it's a 25mm lens, 50mm, and it's the Distagon, but the 35mm variety of Distagon. And this is exterior version of the Master Prime, an 18mm Master Prime. So it's pretty beautiful. It's very, very sharp on that hair, as you can see, and the shirt is really looking very lovely. That's the 50mm Master Prime. That looks so, so good. I'm really impressed with the hold up there of the grain structure, really. I just really like the shadow as well, and the tiny little highlight that we have in his eye on the eyeball. And this is all from around about 5 feet away, by the way, just roughly on average. There is some things that we had to come closer for, like, let's say, dramatic effect. And this is on the exterior of the Lomos, and this is a 35mm Lomo anamorphic lens. I have had to de-squeeze this lens as well in post because it was so stretched. But yeah, it's absolutely stunning. And this is a 75mm Lomo. Again, absolutely incredible. I'd love to shoot on 16mm with anamorphic lenses more. Like, hardly get the opportunity, but I'd love to. 4mm Optex. This is a very fisheye lens, so we wanted Tom still to stay that like 5 feet away from the camera, and then he comes back in, and this must be like 2 feet away from the camera, very close up. Beautiful for music videos. Really, really interesting lens. I think I'm holding the actual ND filter on the front of the camera. 5.5mm Optex. The actual angles of the lens are looking a bit more neutral, but it's still got that very wide angle of lens. You can see how it's flaring as well, whether it's flaring because I'm holding the filter on, or whether it's flaring naturally from the sun. So now we're back to the anamorphic lenses again, and this is the Cooke anamorphic lens, and this is a 65mm at t2.8. It's quite warm as a lens, but maybe it's also the sunset as well. Exterior version of our ultra prime, because I was trying to get everything shot and then be able to compare it in between, but I'm not sure the comparisons between the daytime and the interior and the exterior ones are probably even worth looking at doing side by sides, but you get the idea that I was trying to do a full lens test as best I could. This is at t2.8. So this is the 40mm ultra prime, just an ND filter of 1.8 on currently. Now we put on a classic soft effects filter, which is a 1.8. So just softening the skin tone slightly. Gone to a half classic soft, and again just slightly softening those skin tones a little bit. A classic soft effects 1 is very soft. You've lost all kind of detail. I'm hardly trying to find focus there and just showing that off. Back to that 40mm just to give us a starting point again. So that's our 40mm again. So we're just really pushing the boundary here in terms of what soft effects filters you can go for, but and just testing out that diffusion really in front of camera. So this is a soft effects half filter here on the ultra prime 40mm, just softening the skin tones, especially in the highlights. Yeah, definitely de-aging naturally. And this is a soft effects filter 1 here, and as you can see, the skin tones again just softening up, and generally the whole image as well. This was a bit of a rough and ready test, but it was a 40mm ultra prime 1.8. I just wanted to test out focus pulling and walking around and just seeing what the image would be like. And there we go. Little focus pull from the back to the foreground, try and grab him on the way through. I do a small miss, but then catch him on the way back. Small moves as well. Back onto that car in the background, and back onto the foreground. It worked pretty well. There's obviously if I give myself marks and give myself a better chance to do it, but Well, I hope you really enjoyed this video. This was all 16mm footage and all 250D Kodak Vision 3. We'll catch you in the next one. Obviously my opinions are just what I see as a cinematographer. The actual story really matters, and that's where I kind of come from as a standpoint, going, does this really match the look of the story? Hopefully I'll catch you out there making amazing films. Catch you in the next one. Cheers.